Hi guys, Miss P. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what you did last week with the mannequin drawings, and then how we're moving those mannequin drawings into dynamic poses and foreshortening. So what I did is I printed off some of the photos, the stock photos that I made available to you on the Google Classroom. And I do think it's important, if you're able to print the picture and then maybe even draw it on the side. And the reason for that is because you can line up the tops of the head, the bottom of the chin, the breasts, the waist, the crotch, the knees, stuff like that. So you know that in proportion you're going to be correct. The other thing that I like about printing it out rather than just looking at it on the computer is I like to muck up the picture with angles, with lines that I see, that I make some observations that I make. So when I go to draw it over here, I take what I observed over there and I apply it to my drawing. So like I said, the angle of the shoulders, I like to draw that on and then transfer that over. I like to notice these curves. These are clues to me where the eye level is. So you can see this is a bit of a foreshortened pose, and I could tell that our eye level is somewhere down here because of these curves. I could tell that the curve of these shorts, if the leg wasn't there, I would be able to draw the cylindrical form and be able to see the bottom or inside of the cylindrical form of the shorts. So I did start demonstrating. I made a video and then the video went bad. So I'm now showing you here that when you're making your mannequin, I want you to make those observations of where your point of view is and use those clues to make your curves, okay? So I want you to make sure that you're seeing the bottom. If your eye level is down there, I want you to make sure that you're seeing the bottom of these forms. So I'm seeing a lot of people still draw the figure in a mannequin pose, which is fine. You can start it that way, but then you can go ahead and transfer those observations. You can go in and change that, taper the legs a little bit more. Remember, we're trying to grab the form and the movement of the form and the perspective of the form as much as possible. So you can go ahead and start like this, but then go ahead and draw on top of it some more confident contours of the mannequin like that, okay? I started talking to you about this guy in my video, and I drew all over him and saying, notice how you see the top of his head, so let's make it like a cylinder rather than a circle, blah, blah, blah. Then I was saying how you could see the front plane of the torso, and then you start seeing the side plane. And as I was making the video, I start explaining that. And I did an okay job explaining it. However, I didn't do as good of a job as I did on the second one, and I'll show you in a minute. But some observations that I made, you know, look how large the forearm is compared to the upper arm, and that's because it's coming at us, all right? Let's see the next one. This is my second attempt at this guy. I do think it's a lot better. I gave him some human form combined with some mannequin form. And I really put in those cross contour lines to show, you know, you can see in the photo where the shadow is, that this is rounder here and then it kind of gets a little flatter here. So I tried demonstrating that with my cross contour lines and got the center of the body. And again, put those cross contour lines in the direction of the plane of the body, okay? It's really important to notice, you know, your negative space. Notice this shape over here, and notice how this is fairly accurate. It's not exactly accurate, but those shapes of the negative space will really help you. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is vertical alignment, okay? So if I were to place my pencil like this against his hand, and I put that totally parallel to the side of my paper, I can see that his hand is vertically aligned with his navel. Okay, so as I'm drawing this, mine might be slightly off, so I would probably either have to move my hand over or move the belly button a little bit more over here so that those two are aligned. And you can do that throughout your drawings. You can say, okay, what's lined up to his ear? Well, that would be like maybe the tiniest part of his waist. You can do it horizontally as well. The elbow might sit down lower on the picture plane than the hand itself, so I can go ahead and test that out. And again, I could probably move my elbow down a little bit or my hand up. So these are, as you're sketching, you make these observations about vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, and then also using, you know, the angle of your pencil to determine the angle of the arm, the angle of the chest, etc. Okay, moving on. This one gave me a whole heck of a lot of trouble, but I will tell you, drawing these lines across like this, like some of these points where I knew where I had to change this, really helped me out. But I struggled with this one. I should have taped it for you, maybe fast speed, but it took me a little bit of time. And then what I did is I went over it with some Sharpie marker, some of the lines that I felt pretty confident about. And then again, shading almost in a like a cross contour hatching kind of way to just give me some more information about the figure. But I do want to talk to you about this foreshortening and what else you can do with your pencil and use it as a measuring tool. You can look at his put the point of your pencil at the heel of his foot. And then I'm going to put my fingernail where the toe is. And so I know that his foot is this big. Now, if I measure that compared to that foot that's way back there, check that out. Look how tiny that foot is compared. So this is where my fingernail is. That's how big his other foot is. And that's how small his other foot is. So you could do things like how many feet, little feet, is it this way? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably 5 or 6 of these little feet this way, right? Again, paying attention to that negative space that you see. Those are clues indicating, helping us with the angle and the spacing, right? Everything is in proportion to one another. So you want to check it out that way. So I had a little bit of difficulty. I think the head's a little too big. But in general, I think I had success with this. So that is going to be your next step. After you feel that you've mastered the mannequin. Oh, I did one more. This one gave me some trouble too. Oh my gosh, like if you look at the shape of this leg. This does not look like a leg with a foot on it at all. Like I don't even know what it looks like. But that is what you see. So the other thing as you're drawing, paying attention to the negative space. Does it match with the negative spaces here? And so forth. And I had this leg way over here because I hadn't done my vertical alignment yet. So if I say that the right part of her knee should, you know, go up to her ear. So if I do that vertical alignment like that, so I got that there. So I use these lines across to help me with those measurements. But then it's the angle of things that you have to test. So you can transfer that angle of the leg here and so forth. So again, you can see a bunch of my scribbles, a bunch of erase marks. I had her foot way over here before. I had her hand way over here before. And so once I felt that I had corrected it, I went over it with a Sharpie marker just to show where my confident lines are. But I kind of like leaving my sketchy lines because it reminds me of what I did wrong and what I did right. So your next step is to gather some photos. I really hope that you are able to print. If you're not, if you've got a newspaper, the sports section has pretty dynamic figures, etc. If you can find pictures to be able to do what I just did here, that would be awesome. So I'll explain that more in the assignment itself. But I wouldn't try going for this until you really feel that you've mastered this mannequin thing and understanding the planes of the body. All right, so I will put this video up along with the assignment for this week. Best of luck, guys.